The knock came at 7:12 p.m., a time so exact that I glanced at the clock twice. No one ever came to my house that late. Not since Daniel died, and not since I learned how to live quietly, tucked away between the echoing pine trees on Rose Hill Lane. 3 sharp knocks. Quick, urgent that I set my knitting aside and stood, joints stiff from sitting too long. When I peeked through the front window, that old sinking dread returned. The same dread I used to feel before every argument in my marriage. The kind that starts in the chest, then spreads like frost. My daughter Leah stood on the porch, coat half-zipped, hair frizzed from the wind. She hadn't visited in 5 months, and never without warning. Headlights from a car I didn't recognize lit up the driveway. I opened the door slowly. "Mom," she said, brushing past me, smelling of expensive perfume and rushed decisions. "Why is it freezing in here? Don't you ever turn the heat on?" "I like sweaters," I answered quietly. She rolled her eyes and tossed her handbag onto the couch. Too familiar. Suddenly, I was 40 again, standing in the kitchen while Daniel scolded me for leaving the lights on. But Daniel had been gone 6 years. And Leah had grown into the part of him I feared most. "I need to talk to you," she said, pacing like she owned the room. "I can see that. There. No. Seat." And embarrassingly, I almost did. She dropped a thick folder onto the coffee table, the kind that never holds anything good. "This is serious," she said. "Debt notices. Interest statements. Warnings. So many zeros they blurred." "How much?" I asked. She hesitated. Then, 500,000. $500,000. My breath caught. "Mom, I know what you're thinking." "You don't," I whispered. She explained the investment. The vanished CEO. The borrowed money. The dangerous people waiting to collect. "What do you want from me?" "Your savings," she whispered. "Dad's inheritance. Everything. Please, Mom. I don't have anyone else." The words hit like a fist. Not because she asked, but because she asked so casually. "Leah, I'm retired that I'm 70. That money is all I have." "Mom, you don't need it. Your lifestyle is simple." She wasn't listening. She never listened. Then she knelt down, gripping my hands, voice trembling. "They said they'd come tomorrow if I didn't pay that I'm scared." And that broke something in me. Not because it felt sincere, but because it felt familiar. Fear. Promises, demands. Always demands. "I can help," I said. "Just not everything." Instantly, her face hardened. "So you won't help me?" "I'm trying to protect myself." "From your own daughter?" "I'm all you have left." The resemblance to her father made me flinch. "You're asking me to ruin myself," I whispered. "I'm asking you to save me." "By destroying my future?" She laughed sharply. "Future? Mom, you're 70. How much future do you think you have?" Cruel cold. And still, I broke. Like always. "All right," I whispered. "I'll transfer what I can." Relief washed over her. "I knew you'd do the right thing." She kissed my cheek and left. When her car disappeared, the silence that filled the house wasn't peaceful. That tea was empty. I made tea with trembling hands and sat at the table, staring at the steam. Then, I picked up the phone. A number I hadn't dialed in a decade. It rang once. "Nora? It's Elaine." A pause. A soft inhale. "Elaine, I need help. And I need it tonight." "I'll be there in 20 minutes." Elaine arrived in 19 minutes. I knew because I counted every second. Counting has always been my way of staying calm, of giving shape to panic. The habit that carried me through the worst years of my marriage, and the lonely ones after. When her headlights swept across my driveway, I nearly cried. Elaine stepped out of her car with the same steady, unhurried movements she'd always had, shoulders back, chin up, a woman who survived her own storms long before she ever met me. She didn't knock. She let herself in, calling my name softly as she walked into the kitchen. When she saw me, she froze. "Nora," she whispered. "Oh, sweetheart." She sat across from me without asking. She never asked permission for things that mattered. That was partly why we stopped talking 10 years ago. She refused to tolerate what I tolerated. She refused to watch. But now she was here, and I was grateful for every uncompromising inch of her. "Tell me what happened," she said. I wiped my eyes. "Leah." Elaine's expression didn't change, but something in her shoulders tightened. I figured, start from the beginning. I told her everything: the debt, the folder, the threats, the expectation that I empty the one account Daniel left me. When I finished, the kitchen clock ticked between us like a metronome, marking the decline of my good sense. Elaine was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "You're not giving her the money." "I already said I would." "No," she corrected. "You broke down and told her what she wanted to hear." "I can't take it back now." "You can," she said simply. "And you will." I shook my head. "You didn't hear her, does she scared?" Elaine let out a humorless laugh. "She knows exactly which button to press. She learned from the best, didn't she?" I flinched. "She's not her father." "Not all the way," Elaine said. "But people don't magically become manipulative at 29. They grow into it." "It's not that simple," I murmured. "It is," she said. "She's using you, she always has." I felt defensive, then ashamed. "She's my daughter." "And you're her mother, not her retirement plan, not her emergency fund, not the person she gets to destroy." Her words were sharp but not unkind, bitter medicine, truth that hurt but healed. "She said they might come tomorrow," I whispered. "Who?" "I don't know. Investors, loan sharks, people she borrowed from." Elaine's jaw tightened. "She's bluffing." "You can't know that." "I can. If she were in danger, she wouldn't stroll in wearing perfume and panic at the same time. And she definitely wouldn't leave you alone while she grabbed dinner." I looked down at my hands. "She said she doesn't have anyone else." Elaine took my hand gently. "That part is true. Not because people abandoned her, but because she pushed everyone away. I don't want anything to happen to her." "I know, but giving her your savings won't protect her. It'll only delay the consequences." My throat tightened. "Then what do I do?" "She'll come back tonight expecting the money." "Good," Elaine said. "I'll be here." Fear jolted through me. "Elaine, she'll scream. She'll make it ugly." "She can scream," she said calmly. "I don't scare easily." She walked the house, checking locks, closing curtains, asking about important documents, preparing, protecting. Around 10:30, headlights washed across the front yard. My stomach dropped. Elaine stood. "Stay behind me." Leah barged in without knocking. "Mom, good, you're awake. Did you do it? Did you transfer it?" She stopped when she saw Elaine. "What are you doing here?" "I'm visiting," Elaine answered. Leah scoffed. "Mom, we need to talk, alone." But Elaine didn't move, and for the first time, Leah looked unsettled. "Mom?" she pressed. "I asked her to stay," I said quietly. Leah's eyebrows shot up. "Why?" "Because this is difficult, and Elaine is support." "Support?" "It's a bank transfer, not a surgery," Elaine said calmly. "Nora has something to tell you." I swallowed. "I'm not giving you the inheritance," I whispered. Silence. Sharp and immediate. "What did you say?" Leah asked. "I can help in other ways, but..." "No," she cut in. "You said you'd do it." I was scared that I wasn't thinking clearly. Her voice iced over. "So you lied." "I changed my mind." "You don't get to change your mind." "She does," Elaine said. Leah glared at her. "Stay out of it." "I won't." Leah turned back to me. "I need that money. And I need to survive the rest of my life," I whispered. Her tears rose, sharp, practiced tears. "Mom, please, that I'm begging you. We'll handle this together," I said softly. "But not like this." Her face hardened. The tears vanished. "Unbelievable," she muttered. She grabbed her purse. "If anything happens to me, that's on you." "Leah, don't call me." She slammed the door so hard the windows rattled that I stood frozen. Elaine wrapped an arm around me. "She's manipulating you. Don't let her words settle." But they already had heavy and cold. "I'm scared," I whispered. "I know," Elaine said softly. "But you're not alone." We listened to the fading sound of Leah's car. "She'll be back," Elaine said quietly. "People like that always come back." I shivered. "What do we do when she does?" Elaine looked toward the door. "We make a plan," she said. "Tonight." Elaine locked the door after Leah left, sliding the deadbolt twice, even though once would have been enough. The house felt different now, tilted somehow, as if Leah had taken something with her when she slammed the door. A layer of warmth, or safety, or hope. Elaine turned back to me, her expression steady but alert. the look of someone already preparing for what might come next. Sit, she said gently. I Saturday she paced the kitchen floor, slow, deliberate, before finally asking, has she ever threatened you? Before, directly or indirectly? The truth washer to admit. Yes, she had pressured me. Yes, she used fear to make everything feel urgent. And yes, when she didn't get what she wanted, she disappeared. I whispered the words I hated to say out loud. She's my daughter. Elaine's voice softened, but not with pity, just truth. Relationships shouldn't feel like walking barefoot over glass. Hours passed without rest. At 2 in the morning, I heard movement, only to see Elaine in my doorway. She couldn't sleep either. We sat together in the soft glow of the lamp, and she told me what she really thought. Leah was in trouble, yes, but not the kind she claimed. Not danger from strangers, but danger grown from entitlement. Danger learned from Daniel. Hearing his name felt like reopening an old fracture. Elaine reached for my hand. You're a good mother. Not because you're perfect, because you're trying. I cried. She stayed. Morning came slowly. Elaine made coffee, eggs, humming like she used to years ago. When we sat down, she laid out a plan, clear, firm, protective. Secure my accounts, document everything, and come stay with her until things stabilized. I asked the question that terrified me. What if Leah never forgives me? Elaine brushed a tear from my cheek. Then she'll have to live with that. But at least you'll be alive to be resented. Before I could answer, a car pulled into the driveway. Not Leah's. A black sedan. A man stepped out, tall, broad-shouldered, scanning the yard like he was checking for witnesses. Elaine moved first, her body shifting into calm, focused readiness. He walked to the porch. Knocked 3 sharp knocks, urgent, familiar. Elaine whispered, stay behind me. You don't open the door. Another knock, harder. Then the man spoke through the door, and everything changed. The man's voice came through the door, deep and steady. Not loud, not angry, controlled. Mrs. Hartman, he called. Nora Hartman. Elaine stiffened. She moved closer to the peephole, careful not to let the floor creak. He knocked once more. I'm not here to cause trouble. I just need a few minutes. Elaine leaned toward my ear. Don't answer. But he spoke again, and this time he said something that froze the air between us. It's about Leah. Every muscle in my body went rigid. Elaine gripped my arm. Stay still. I know she was here last night, the man continued. She told us she'd have the money this morning, but she hasn't answered her phone. We just want to talk. We. The word clanged around in my skull like a warning bell. Elaine took a silent step back, pulling me with her by the wrist. She mouthed, call 911. But before I could reach for my phone, the man spoke again, calmly, almost politely. Ma'am, I'm not leaving until you open this door. Elaine's grip tightened. I swallowed hard. I think. My voice cracked. I lowered it to a whisper. I think he might actually hurt her. Elaine's expression flickered. For the first time, something uncertain passed over her face. A calculation, a weighing of risk. Then she shook her head sharply. We don't know that. But if he's dangerous to you, she whispered. Another knock, harder this time. The wood shuddered. Mrs. Hartman, he said, patience thinning. We need to settle this today. Open the door. I felt myself trembling. Elaine placed both hands on my shoulders, grounding me. Her thumbs brushed slow circles on my collarbones. Look at me, she whispered. I did. Her voice turned low, steady. There are 2 possibilities. 1, he's bluffing. 2, he's not. But either way, if you open that door, you lose control. And if you lose control, you lose everything. He might know where Leah is, I whispered. He might not, Elaine countered. And he might lie. Nora, you can't trust people who show up at your door unannounced asking for money. Not now. Not ever. My breath shook. Then what do I do? We handle this smartly, Elaine said. Carefully. She walked to the door slowly and spoke through it without opening. Who are you? The man paused. Then, I'm a financial investigator. Elaine gave a quiet, humorless huff. No, you're not. Silence. Then the man said, I work for someone Leah owes money. Elaine shot me a look that said, see? What do you want? Elaine asked. I want her to pay what she owes. She doesn't live here, Elaine said sharply. She hasn't lived here in years. Her car was in your driveway last night, he countered. Elaine didn't miss a beat. So were two others. We had guests. That doesn't make this her residence. The man exhaled slowly. Then footsteps moved across the porch, backward, pacing. This can go one of two ways, he said. Easy or hard. Elaine's eyes turned flinty. Here's another option, she said coolly. You leave, and no one gets anything. His voice sharpened. Ma'am, that's not how this works. It is today. There was a long silence. I felt the pounding of my heart in my throat. Then, the man spoke quietly, almost too quietly to hear. She's lying to you, he said. Your daughter. She owes a lot more than she told you. And if she doesn't pay, we'll keep looking. Until we find her. I felt something inside me crack open. A mixture of terror and grief and guilt. Elaine, however, didn't waver. Get off the property. You don't want to do this, he warned. Elaine's voice lowered to something cold and unmistakable. If you take one more step toward this house, I will call the police. And trust me, I'm much more cooperative with law enforcement than you are. A beat point too. Then another step sounds, going down, not up. Slow, angry. Finally, his voice again, tight with frustration. This isn't over. Elaine didn't respond. A car door slammed. The engine revved. Tires crunched over gravel. Then the sound faded away. Silence fell. A long, bone-deep silence. Elaine waited an extra 30 seconds, listening, before she let out a breath and unlocked her body from its rigid stance. I collapsed into the nearest chair. Elaine rushed to me. Nora, she whispered urgently. Are you okay? I wasn't. Not remotely. I felt faint, dizzy, years older than I was an hour ago. He said they'll keep looking, I whispered. Elaine, what if she's really in danger? Elaine knelt in front of me. Then she needs real help, not your life savings. I covered my face with my hands. I can't protect her. You can't protect her from consequences, Elaine said. But you can protect yourself. My voice broke. She'll blame me for everything. Elaine held my hands, firm and warm. Nora, she said, listen to me. Leah made her choices. You aren't responsible for fixing them. I'm her mother. And she's an adult, Elaine said. A brilliant one when she wants to be. But she chose the easy road every time it was offered. And you, she squeezed my hands. You always paid the toll. I swallowed hard. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to let her suffer. You're not letting her suffer, Elaine said softly. You're letting her face reality. And sometimes that looks like suffering. I felt tears pooling again. I don't think she'll ever forgive me. Elaine brushed a curl of hair from my face. Then she won't. But you'll survive that pain. You won't survive the other. I closed my eyes, letting myself lean forward until my forehead rested on Elaine's shoulder. She wrapped her arms around me, holding me tightly, grounding me. I didn't realize how long we stayed like that. Minutes. Maybe hours. Time blurred, slipping through the cracks of fear and relief. Finally, Elaine spoke against my hair. We're leaving tonight. We pack a bag, we go to my place, and we regroup there. You're not staying here alone. I'm not sure I can walk, I whispered. I'll help you. Elaine, yes. What if Leah comes back? Elaine paused. Then she'll find the note I leave. What will it say? Elaine pulled back and met my eyes, steady, unshaken, fierce with loyalty. That you love her, she said. But that you're safe, and not alone. And that if she wants help, real help, she knows how to reach you. I let out a trembling breath. What if she shows up angry? She won't find you, Elaine said. Not tonight. I nodded slowly, but just as Elaine stood to grab her coat, a faint buzzing sound broke the room's silence. My phone on the kitchen counter, face down. Elaine froze. I walked toward it, every step feeling like a step toward a cliff. I flipped the phone over. A single name glowed across the screen. Leah, and beneath it, 14 missed calls. Elaine stepped beside me, reading over my shoulder. She's been trying to reach you since last night, Elaine murmured. Then the buzzing started again. Another incoming call. The room felt too small. My chest felt too tight. Elaine whispered, "Don't answer yet, think." But I had already pressed the green button. I lifted the phone to my ear. "Mom." Leah's voice cracked, raw, breathless, panicked. "Mom, you have to help me. Please, please, I don't know where to go. They're saying they're coming after me next." Her voice broke. "Mom," she sobbed, "I'm scared." And everything in me, every boundary I had set, every ounce of resolve Elaine helped me build, wavered again. "Nora," Elaine whispered urgently, "breathe. Think." But Leah's next word shattered what was left of my resolve. "They said they're coming to your house too." For a moment, I couldn't speak. Leah's sobs crackled through the phone, thin, frantic, hollow. "Mom, please, please tell me you're okay. Did they come? Did they show up?" I forced air into my lungs. "Yes, a man came this morning." Leah inhaled sharply. "Oh God." Elaine stepped closer, eyes sharp, urging caution. I turned slightly but stayed put. "Leah," I said, keeping my voice steady despite the ache in my chest, "where are you?" I'm hiding behind a gas station. I don't know where to go. I don't know what they want me to do." "Mom, I messed up. I messed up so bad." I closed my eyes, feeling the weight of her fear, the familiar pull of a plea. Elaine put a hand on my arm. I didn't move it away, but I didn't let it guide me. "Leah," I said softly, "I need the truth now." She swallowed audibly. "Okay, no lies. How much do you owe?" Silence. 20,000, she whispered. My chest hollowed. Elaine exhaled sharply under her breath. "Leah," I said slowly, "yesterday you told me it was 5. I know. I was scared. I didn't know what else to do. These guys, they said if I didn't pay soon." "Leah," I interrupted firmly, "how long have you known about this?" Silence again. "A few months." "And why didn't you tell me sooner?" "Because I was trying to fix it. I was trying to make things work. And everything fell apart." My stomach turned. "Last night, someone found her. Someone sent her here." "Leah," I asked gently, "did those men send you to me?" "No." Her voice cracked, fragile. "I don't know. Maybe." I panicked. I went to the only place I could think of. "And Nora," Elaine whispered beside me, "be careful." Leah's voice hardened suddenly. "Is someone with you?" "Yes. Elaine," I answered. "Of course she's there. Cold. Defiant. Older." Elaine's voice rang clear through the phone. "Your mother is safe. That's the first priority." "Oh, is it?" Leah snapped. "She's not your responsibility. She's mine. She's her own," Elaine said steadily. "That's what you keep forgetting." I inhaled. This was the moment. I made the choice. "Leah, I love you, but I can't give you $20,000. Silence. Stunned. Sharp. "What?" "I can't," I repeated. "I understand you're scared. That I understand you made a mistake. I understand you need help. But we don't pay criminals." Her sobs trembled through the line. "I'm scared." "I know, baby," I whispered, tears flowing. "I know. What do I do?" I softened my voice, gentle as I could be. "You let me call someone. Real help. Not people who want to hurt you." "Okay," she whispered. "I love you." "I love you too." The line clicked dead. I crumpled. Elaine caught me before I hit the floor. "It's okay," she whispered. "You did the right thing." I pressed my forehead into her shoulder, cried until my ribs ached, until the fear and panic receded. Later, after the calls, after the adrenaline faded, we sat together. Small contact. Gentle. "Safe. She's safe," Elaine said softly. "She's safe, and so am I repeated. Elaine wrapped her arm around me, unhurried, steady. For the first time in years, maybe decades, I believed things could be okay. Not perfect. Not fixed. But possible.
Far beyond the crowded towns of the world, past the noisy markets, the stone roads, and the restless crowds, there lay a hidden place. A valley wrapped in a soft, eternal twilight. A valley untouched by time. A valley the world had long forgotten. People who accidentally stumbled into this place would always speak of it with wonder. They said the sky there was neither day nor night. They said the wind carried ancient secrets. said the river hummed melodies older than any song ever written. This quiet cradle between mountains was known only as the Last Valley. And in this valley lived a boy named Aaron. Aaron was gentle, even to stones under his feet. And inside him burned a curiosity brighter than any flame. His mother, Mira, always warned him kindly. Curiosity must walk with caution, Aaron. A flame may warm, but it may also burn. Aaron listened, but the world around him was far too mysterious, far too beautiful to ignore. The leaves shimmered with colors no painter had ever captured. The rocks glowed faintly at night. Even the silence felt alive. But the strangest thing in the valley was the lantern that at the valley's center. Resting on a stone pedestal stood a lantern that never dimmed. No one knew who built it or when. No one knew how it burned without oil or wick. Simply was. People feared it. Others worshipped it. But Aaron, he adored it. It drew him like a warm fire draws cold hands. Elder Bran, the oldest villager, always told stories about it. His voice crackled like dried leaves as he sat by the nighttime fire. Children looked at him, their eyes glowing from the lantern's reflection on the horizon. One day, he said, a great darkness will blanket the world beyond these mountains, and only a pure heart, braver than fear, kinder than sorrow, will carry the lantern to where it is needed most. Most villagers smiled politely at these stories. They thought the old man simply repeated tales from long ago. But Aaron, he listened to every word as if they were treasure. He wondered what kind of darkness could swallow the world. He wondered what kind of heart the lantern would choose. On his 10th birthday, Aaron asked Elder Bran, "Do you think I could be the one to carry the lantern someday?" Bran looked at him for a long, quiet moment. His eyes softened, but behind that softness rested a hint of fear. "Every child believes they will change the world," the old man whispered. "But the world is changed only by those who choose truth. When lies are easier, kindness. When cruelty is convenient, and courage, when fear would be safer." Aaron didn't understand fully, but the words settled in his heart like seeds waiting for rain. Then one evening, everything changed as a low rumble shook the mountains. Birds fled from the sky. Dogs whimpered and hid. Even the flowing river seemed to lose its voice. Aaron, who had been gathering herbs on a cliffside, looked up. Dark shapes winged and twisted, poured over the mountaintops like a living storm. Their faces were distorted. Their wings were torn, and with every beat of their wings came a wave of cold so sharp it cut through the air. Aaron froze. The creatures descended into the valley, tearing roofs, breaking doors, scattering villagers. Screeches pierced the air like shattered glass. Then Elder Bran appeared on the hill, leaning evilly on his staff. His eyes were full of sorrow. "It has begun," he whispered. "The darkness I warned about." Aaron ran to him. "What do we do?" Bran placed a trembling hand on the boy's shoulder. "You must get to the lantern." "Me? Why me?" The old man's voice shook. "Because it glows brighter when you are near." Aaron didn't understand. He didn't have time to. He ran, stumbling, crambling, gasping, toward the pedestal. The creatures swooped after him. Their claws scraped the ground behind him. The cold of their wings burned against his skin. But Aaron reached the lantern. Its flame blazed brighter than the sun. Without thinking, he grabbed it. Light erupted outward. A wave of warmth and brilliance swept across the valley. The dark creatures screamed, twisted, dissolved into nothing, or fled into the mountains. When the light calmed, Aaron was standing there, unharmed, holding the lantern in his hands. His mother pulled him into a shaking embrace. "Aaron, oh Aaron, you frightened me. I had to help," he said, breathless. "I had to protect everyone." Elder Bran approached him slowly, leaning hard on his staff. His voice was soft, but full of certainty. "Aaron, the lantern has chosen you. Its light is not meant only for this valley. The darkness beyond these mountains has only begun. You must take it into the world, into the forgotten lands, where shadows now rule." Aaron trembled. "But I'm only a boy. I don't know the world." "No one knows the path before they walk it," Bran said gently. But the brave choose to walk anyway. Arin looked at his mother. Her eyes were full of fear, but also pride. "Go," she whispered, "and always remember kindness." So the boy stepped into a world beyond the valley for the first time. The path was steep, the night was cold, but the lantern glowed softly, guiding his feet around roots and stones. After hours of climbing, Arin entered the forest of echoes. Every sound repeated again and again. His footsteps multiplied. His breath came back to him as whispers, and soon, the forest whispered his name, Arin. He turned. No one. Arin turned back. The voice sounded like his mother, then like Elder Bran, then like himself. "Arin, you will fail. Arin, you are too small. Arin, you are alone." The shadows bent toward him like reaching hands. Fear pressed against his heart. Then Arin whispered the words Bran had once taught him. "Courage is choosing to move even when fear is safer." He lifted the lantern. Its flame flared. The voices faded. The shadows withdrew. The forest fell silent. Arin walked on. After days of traveling, he reached a ruined town. Homes broken, fields dead, wells dry, and at the center sat a girl, crying into her hands. Her name was Lisa. Her village had been taken by the creatures of darkness. She thought she was alone, until Arin held the lantern near her, and its soft light soothed the pain she carried. "It doesn't hurt," she whispered. "Everything else hurts, but not this." For days, Arin used the lantern's glow to bring life back to the town. Flowers bloomed again. Animals returned. Broken things healed. Lisa watched all of it with wide, trembling eyes. "Take me with you," she begged. "I don't want to be alone. I want to help the world too." Arin hesitated. Traveling with another person would be harder, riskier. But kindness is never meant to be kept small. "Come with me," he said. Two children walked into the broken world together. Weeks passed. They reached the glittering city of shrouded gold. Its walls sparkled like treasure. Its towers shimmered like sunrise. But inside, the people were drowning in greed. Merchants cheated each other. Children fought over scraps. Neighbors stole from neighbors. And at the city's heart stood a golden throne, untouched. The guard explained, "Whoever sits on it becomes blind to everything but gold." The last king lost his soul. Since then, no one dares take the throne. Arin held up the lantern. Its light pulsed gently, as if sensing the sickness of the place. Wherever the light touched, people softened. Anger faded. Voices calmed. Even the guard straightened, as though remembering he had once been noble. Crowds gathered. "The light bearer is here. The boy with the eternal lantern. He brings peace." Arin trembled under all the eyes, but he climbed the steps to the cursed throne. He raised the lantern and touched it to the golden metal. The throne glowed white-hot, then burst and became a simple, humble wooden chair. "A leader does not need gold," Arin said softly. "A leader needs kindness." The city bowed, but there were still more lands drowning in darkness. High in the mountains, Arin and Lisa reached a bridge hanging over a bottomless canyon. Carved into the stone beside it were the words, "Only those free from regret may cross." Lisa stepped forward, but the bridge shook violently, forcing her back. Tears filled her eyes. "I didn't help my parents when the creatures came," she cried. "I thought they abandoned me, but they were taken while they were searching for me." Arin placed a hand on her shoulder. "You can face your regret. You can heal." He lifted the lantern. Its warmth fell over her. Lisa stepped onto the bridge again. This time it held steady. Arin followed, but shadows rose from below, whispering his own secret fears. Times he wasn't brave. Times he wasn't kind. Times he wished he had acted differently. "I'm not perfect," he whispered, shaking. "You don't need to be," Lisa said. "You only need to keep trying." So Arin stepped forward. Together they crossed. Finally, their journey led them to a castle made from pure shadow. It rose like a nightmare against lightning-lit clouds. Inside, on a throne of darkness, sat the Dark King. "You have traveled far," the king rumbled. But light is nothing without darkness, and you are too young to carry such power. Arin trembled, but he stepped forward. The light is not mine, he said softly. It belongs to anyone who needs hope. The Dark King rose, towering like a storm. You think you can defeat me? No, Arin whispered. But I can face you. He lifted the lantern. The king roared. Shadows swirled. The air cracked. But Arin did not attack. He only held the lantern closer. The shadows peeled away, not in pain, but in sorrow. Under the darkness was a man broken by grief. I was the world's guardian, he whispered. But when I lost my family, darkness filled my heart. I thought if the world shared my sorrow, it would understand me. Arin felt tears in his eyes. You don't need to carry this alone, he said. Lisa stepped beside him. Let us help you. The lantern glowed softly, wrapping the fallen guardian in gentle warmth. And the darkness that had ruled for centuries finally lifted. The world healed. Fields grew green again. Rivers ran clear. Flowers bloomed in forgotten places. The creatures of shadow faded into harmless mist. Months later, Arin and Lisa returned to the last valley, not as frightened children, but as young heroes who had carried light into a broken world. The villagers embraced them with tears and laughter. Mira held her son close, whispering, You kept your promise. Arin walked to the pedestal and gently placed the lantern back where it belonged. Its flame glowed brighter than ever. Elder Brand smiled softly. It will wait, he said, for the next heart brave enough to carry it. Arin looked at Lisa. Their eyes reflected all they had endured, and all the hope they had restored. And at last, the last valley was peaceful again.
Lena woke before her alarm, jolted upright by the scratchy burn of her own coughing. For a moment, she couldn't tell if she was awake or still trapped in that strange, dry dream. Something about walking barefoot across a field of glass. Her throat felt raw, as if she'd swallowed a handful of mulch. She blinked against the blurry morning light sneaking through the cheap blinds of the apartment she shared with Ezra. He lay beside her, sprawled diagonally across the bed, one arm tossed over her pillow, the other dangling off the edge, breathing loud and blissfully unaware. It was 5:12 a.m. Great. She slipped out from under his heavy arm and stepped onto the cold laminate floor, hissing under her breath. In the kitchen, the light flickered, like it always did, despite the landlord's endless promises, and she filled the kettle, leaning on the counter as it heated. Her reflection stared back at her from the dark microwave door, swollen eyes, chapped lips, hair like a half-finished bird's nest. Happy Wednesday. When the kettle gave its thin, tired whistle, she grabbed her chipped yellow mug, the one that said, "Keep going," in peeling red letters. Her sister Mara had gifted it to her at graduation. A reminder, Mara had said, because the world won't hand you anything. Back then, Lena had laughed. Back then, she thought she didn't need the world to hand her anything. Back then, she believed a lot of things. She sipped her lukewarm instant coffee and opened her laptop. The job search spreadsheet was already waiting. 123 applications, 12 second interviews, and a sea of red cells in the result column. Rejected, rejected, rejected. No response. Rejected. Lena rubbed her temples. 2 degrees, years of volunteer work, glowing recommendation letters, and yet her days had shrunk into an endless cycle of refreshing inboxes and rewriting cover letters that seemed to vanish into some corporate void. Behind her, Ezra's groggy voice broke the silence. "You're up early again." She turned. He stood in the doorway, hair sticking out in every direction, wearing a shirt still stained from last night's spaghetti. "Couldn't sleep," she said. "My throat's killing me." "You're always overworking yourself," he muttered, crossing the kitchen to rest a hand on her shoulder and press a sleepy kiss to her cheek. "Maybe chill with the job hunt today. It's not healthy." "I can't," Lena murmured, closing her laptop. "Rent's due in 2 weeks." Ezra shrugged. "I'll pick up extra shifts. Don't stress. Seriously, it's depressing seeing you glued to that spreadsheet." His tone wasn't harsh, but it still managed to sting. As if trying, really trying, were somehow a flaw. She swallowed and nodded, even though she didn't agree. By 9 a.m., the caffeine had done a thing to soothe the anxiety curled in her chest like a hot coin. She showered, dressed, avoided her reflection, and sat back down at her laptop. She was halfway through drafting a cover letter when her phone buzzed. Mara, did you eat? Also, checking. Are you coming Saturday? Mom's expecting you. Lena stared at the message. Their mother hosted a monthly family dinner, a gathering of people who all seemed effortlessly successful. Nico had just been promoted again. Jade was starting her residency. Mara was preparing to buy her first house. And Lena was unemployed, trying not to drown in student loans. She typed, "Yes, I'll be there," but didn't hit send. Behind her, Ezra reappeared, dressed for work. Black polo, black slacks, the uniform of the tech support call center he hated. He paused behind her chair. "Hey, don't forget my mom's brunch this Sunday." Lena stiffened. "Oh," she said carefully. "I thought we were skipping this month." Ezra frowned. "She specifically wants you there." Of course she did. His mother never missed a chance to check in on Lena, with that polite, smiling voice that somehow always carried disappointment. "Okay," Lena whispered. "Try to be less tense," Ezra added, scooping up his keys. "She says you always look uncomfortable." Lena bit her tongue. She didn't want to fight. Not at 9 a.m. on an empty stomach. "Have a good day," she said. He didn't reply before the door closed behind him. At noon, Lena headed to her part-time tutoring job at the local learning center, her only stable income. The place always smelled faintly of crayons and instant noodles. Lena, Miss Han, the director, waved her over with her usual warm smile. "You're pale today. Everything okay? Just tired," Lena said. "Sick? Maybe." MS Han pat her shoulder. "Take it slow. You give too much sometimes." Lena softened. Lately, Miss Han was one of the only people who made her feel capable. After work, her phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Atlanta area code. She hesitated. Spam? A scam? Another rejection? She answered anyway. "Hello." "Good afternoon," a professional voice said. "May I speak with Lena Torres?" "That's me." "This is Deborah Ellis, head of recruitment for the Asher and Lion Hospitality Group. We received your application for the guest experience supervisor position at our Charlotte hotel." Lena nearly dropped her phone. "Oh, yes." "Yes, hi. I'd like to discuss your application." Lena gripped the railing of the staircase. She was descending. The next 15 minutes blurred as Deborah asked thoughtful, engaged questions. Nothing like the bored, scripted interviews Lena had grown used to. When they finished, Deborah said, "I'm impressed, Lena. Your background in customer care and operations is a rare combination. If you're open to a preliminary video interview tomorrow morning, we'd like to move you forward." Lena's heart thundered. "Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Wonderful. I'll send a calendar invite shortly." When the call ended, Lena leaned against the wall, stunned. Someone believed in her. Someone valued her. It was enough to make her cry on the bus ride home. The next day's interview went better than Lena could have imagined. The general manager, a composed woman in her 40s named Madison, smiled through the screen. "I love your perspective on service philosophy. We need leaders like you." Lena tried not to glow. "Thank you. I've learned from wonderful mentors." "Well," Madison said, "we'd like to offer you the position." Lena's breath caught. The starting salary is $70,000, increasing to $78,000 after the probationary period. Full health care, relocation support, and temporary corporate housing for 3 months. Wow. I'm honored. Lena managed. "We hope to have you join us soon." When the call ended, Lena collapsed onto the couch. She laughed, breathless. She cried. She sat very still, processing the enormity of what it meant. She had options. She had value. She had a future, one that belonged to her. She printed the offer letter and folded it carefully. She would tell Ezra that night. Except she didn't, because when Ezra came home, he was stressed, frustrated by a coworker, exhausted from customers yelling at him. She didn't want to add something overwhelming to his day. Then the next day passed, and the next. Suddenly, it was Saturday family dinner night. She arrived wearing a dress she'd bought a year ago, hoping it would make her feel more confident than she actually did. Lena! Her mother swept her into a hug before she even stepped inside. There you are, Nico said, lifting his wine glass. Finally, Mara grinned. You look like you have news. Lena blinked. You don't. You're glowing, Mara insisted. Did you get a job? Need someone important? Start a business? Lena forced a small smile. Nothing like that. Dinner unfolded as it always did, everyone sharing goals, promotions, accomplishments. And you, Lena? Her mother asked gently. How's the search? Lena opened her mouth to mention Charlotte, but her courage did so. It was enough to make her cry on the bus ride home. Ezra's mother lived in a beautiful townhouse with high ceilings, minimalist decor, and cold marble floors. The kind of place that made Lena feel like she needed to shrink just to fit in. Lena. Hazel greeted her with an air kiss. You look well. Lena managed a smile. You too. Hazel waved a manicured hand as they Saturday. Let's talk future plans. Ezra told me your job search has been challenging. Lena's jaw tightened. I'm doing my best. Hazel clicked her tongue. Sometimes a career isn't meant to be a stretch. Some people thrive in simpler, more stable roles. Nothing wrong with that. Ezra didn't correct her. He just stirred his coffee. Lena stared at the tablecloth, hiding the flash of hurt. Hazel smiled sweetly. Actually, Ezra and I were discussing whether it might be good for you to consider something more attainable. Clerical work, maybe? Or retail. Something you can manage without the pressure. Mom, Ezra murmured. Take it easy.
I'm helping, Hazel insisted.
Lena, dear, I just don't want you chasing impossible expectations.
Impossible.
The word lodged in Lena's ribs like a thorn. She excused herself, slipped into the bathroom, locked the door, and leaned her forehead against the cool mirror. She whispered, I deserve better. And for the first time, she believed it. Lena's birthday arrived 5 days later. She didn't feel celebratory, but she dressed up anyway. A dark green dress, soft curls, careful mascara. Ezra insisted on hosting her birthday dinner at his mother's house. It'll be classy, he'd said. Mom wants to do something special for you. That alone made Lena suspicious. When they arrived, Hazel greeted her with bright, exaggerated warmth. Happy birthday, darling. Come, come. We prepared something wonderful. Prepared. The word prickled at Lena's nerves. Several of Hazel's friends were already seated at the perfectly arranged dining table. Fine china, tapered candles, a floral centerpiece. Everything too intentional. Ezra pulled out her chair. Relax, he whispered. Lena tried. Dinner was exquisite, catered, of course. Compliments, laughter, small talk. Lena smiled when appropriate, even as dread coiled in her stomach. Then came the cake, sparklers glowing, applause surrounding her. Make a wish, Hazel said. Lena did. She wished for courage. After the candles went out, Hazel clapped her hands together. Time for gifts. Ezra handed her a velvet pouch, a gold bracelet. Pretty, safe, predictable. Hazel's friends offered perfume, a scarf, a coffee table book. Then Hazel cleared her throat. My gift, she announced, lifting a glossy envelope, is something meaningful. She handed it to Lena. Lena frowned, confused. Opened it, pulled out the papers. Read the header. Petition for dissolution of domestic partnership, State of Maryland. Her ears rang. She looked at Ezra. He stared at the table. You're filing for separation? She whispered. Hazel gave a soft, pitying smile. It's for the best. You and Ezra want different things. This spares you both years of struggle. Ezra swallowed hard. Mom. Hazel cut him off. It's already processed. All that remains is your signature, Lena. We wanted to do this kindly, surrounded by support. Kindly, The room tilted. Everyone watched her, waiting for her to break. Instead, Lena reached into her purse and pulled out the job offer letter. She unfolded it with calm precision. "Since we're exchanging important documents," she said, her voice steady as steel, "I have one of my own." Hazel's smile froze. Ezra's head snapped up. Lena placed the offer letter in the center of the table. "I was hired last week," she said. "Guest experience supervisor. Salary starting at $70,000, rising to $78. Corporate housing included. In Charlotte." Silence hit the room like a shockwave. Hazel stammered. "You? But how?" "They want me," Lena said simply, "because of my strengths, my experience, my potential." Ezra whispered, "Lena, why didn't you tell me?" "Because," she said, "you weren't listening." She picked up the pen beside her plate, signed the separation papers in one clean, confident stroke. "There," she said, handing the envelope back to Hazel. "Happy birthday to me." Then she stood. Chair scraped. Someone gasped. Someone whispered. But Lena didn't wait to hear any of it. She left. Outside, the air was cool, carrying the faint scent of rain. Her hands trembled, not with fear, but with release. She walked until her legs hummed with exhaustion. Later that night, she packed a suitcase. 2 weeks later, she boarded a train to Charlotte. And as the city lights faded behind her, Lena Torres stepped into the next season of her life. A season she finally chose for herself.
You get one life, and out that one life, you're only going to get out of it what you put into it, and never being okay with where you are, because after every level is another level, whether you realize it or not. And I always wanted to see what was past the thing that I got. I got here, but what was back there? I was never content with being here.
It is a sure sign that you're going to end up in a great place when you give great detail to little things. Excellence doesn't start when the lights come on. Excellence doesn't start when the crowd gathers. Excellence doesn't come when everybody's watching. Excellence is nurtured in mediocrity. If you cannot manage the little things, you'll never be able to manage the big things. If the little things overwhelm you, if you complain and collapse about little things, you'll never be ready for the greater things that God is about to do in your life.
Here's how you know someone's your friend. You can tell them bad news, and they'll listen. They won't tell you why, you're stupid and why that bad thing happened to you, and how something worse happened to them once, and, derailed the whole conversation. You can actually tell them bad news and they'll listen. This is the weirder thing. You can tell them good news and they'll help you celebrate. And that's a really good way of deciding who you should have around you.
Rich people don't sleep 8 hours a day. That's a third of your life. It ain't but 24 hours in a day. You cannot be asleep 8 hours a day. The Bible says, he who loves to sleep and the folding of hands, poverty will set upon you like a thief in the night. I'm going to ask you one question, I'm going to go. How many of you in here know somebody who loves to sleep? Let me ask you something. Ain't they Paul?
You got 24 hours in a day. 8 hours you sleep, and most people work a 9 to 5. So 8 hours you work. Okay, so we had 16 hours. You got breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So we had 19. You take your hour to get ready. So we had 20 hours. So you guys cannot spend 4 hours going up, oh, they lying, oh, I like this photo, oh, they faking, sending photos to other people. Y'all got to get focused. I'm where I'm at because I'm focused. Tunnel vision. I'm focused on what I got to do. Y'all got to have a game plan.
I'm dead. I'm in heaven. Good job. I imagine it's a big wrong mind. You got judgment. David, congratulations. You made it to heaven. How you doing? And right now, I'm 300-pound man. You pull the paper down that says David God. I'm reading it. And it has my name, but on this paper, it says everything about you. Everything, because God knows all. 85 pounds, Navy SEAL, changed people's lives, all these amazing things. I look at God and say, God, the name is right, but what's on here is not me. He goes, it should have been. This was the life that you were supposed to live, but you didn't try. So this is the life that you have.
One thing I learned in life, you can never bring somebody up if they don't want to go up. You can't. No matter how good you think you are, no matter how much you want to tell them, you can help them. If they don't want to go up, there's nothing you can do. But the reverse is not true. Somebody bad could bring a good person down. Because the negativity in the world is much more stronger than the positive sometimes. The negative people can bring you down. So I stay away from negative people. I just walk away from them.
चांदनी रात, खामोश लम्हे, दिल में छुपी कुछ अनकही बातें, हुआ कि झोंकों में राज छुपे हैं, वक्त के पहरों में साज छुपे हैं, कभी ख्वाबों में जो मंजर थे, अब इन आंखों में तस्वीर बने हैं, यादें जैसे खुशबू की लहर, जो आई तो पलट के ना जाए, फूलों की वो खामोश जुबान, कानों में कुछ कह जाए, सफर तन्हा सही मगर ख्वाब साथ हैं, हर पल की चुप में हजारों बातें हैं, जीते हैं हम उम्मीदों के सहारे, धूप में छांव जैसे प्यारे, कभी तुम थे कभी हम थे, अब बस यादों के मौसम थे, ये जो दिल है कुछ कहता है, खामोशी में भी कुछ बहता है, वक्त गुजर जाएगा, लम्हे रुक जाएंगे, मगर जज्बे हमेशा चमक जाएंगे, चलो कुछ पल ख्वाबों में रहते हैं, फिर हकीकत की राहों पे चलते हैं, इख्तिताम के लिए नर्म लहजे में, लफ्जों की खुशबू को कैद ना करना, ये दिल की धड़कन है महज शायरी